Next, we're going to be checking out Pyrrhixz' The Dark Truth of Nikke's Past, the full timeline and breakdown. This is for the story of Goddess of Victory Nikke. I know this as the very cultured game whose actual gameplay bored the hell out of me, even though the animations and the music were amazing, and the animations were amazing. I mean that in multiple ways, both in the game animations and the actual animations that they put at the end of capstone moments that were really well done and well voice acted, and it would be me bait if it wasn't for the fact that the actual gameplay just is so freaking boring. I couldn't stand the entire stand still and shoot game. Ugh. Shooting galleries were never my favorite. So we're going to see where this goes, because I'm not going to really find out a lot about this otherwise, and I've heard it's a good story, and then people shut up, which has told me nothing. It's like the second dream in Warframe. It's so good, people will go out of their way not to spoil it. So I'm not going to spoil it either. Let's jump into spoil this one for myself, because why not mix metaphors on it? It's perfectly fine. This is fine. I'm not about to set myself up for failure, because maybe the thumbnail made me think more of Punishing Gray Raven than anything else. I don't think it's that dark, but if I'm wrong, oh God. Entry number 1. First contact. Oh, sad piano music.
There are rumors of an alien coming down to the surface through the space elevator.
This is already more in depth than I realized the game was. Space elevators and aliens.
Triggered heated discussion in the community. I just so happened to live near the elevator and saw the alien with my own eyes.
Oh, this must be in character from someone.
First off, it looks more machine-like than any sort of creature we've been imagining.
What? Entry number 2. Oh, these must be lore tabs then. Downfall? Everything's very scratched out.
I'm the person who uploaded a photo and claimed to have seen an alien before. It's as large as a small villa, and shooting the alien leaves no trace.
War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. Yeah, I saw this. Scary Movie 4 did it better. Also, Martin, screw it. Now we met the goal, at least in the sum total of 10 teal super chats, aka 50. Wait, 10? Oh yeah, probably.
The alien shoots a laser from a core-like spot, which can puncture a heavily armed vehicle immediately.
So the game actually was heavily pulling from War of the Worlds then. Humanity's Last Stand. Wait, what?
I created the recent posts about alien sightings, which have blown up.
I don't even know where this is from.
I'm moving together with the army. I suppose I'll be joining them next week. You're as good as dead using traditional firearms. I think the best way is to set off a nuclear bomb.
Oh!
Mutually assured destruction.
Does it mutually assured though?
Nikke's story is one filled with many twists and turns.
So this is actually a fucked up story. They just hide it behind the everything else.
Yet one thing is painfully obvious in this world. We aren't told much about its history. Instead, we are forced to piece together past events by uncovering small tidbits of information as we progress on our journey.
Wait. So they're Dark Souling the background? Just like revealing small bits here and there that you have to make a point to find? Like they're not just dropping in like weapon tabs, are they? That would be full on Dark Souling it.
So what exactly led to humanity's downfall? Where did these raptures come from? And how did humanity eventually begin to push back against them? In this video, I intend to answer these questions as best as I can with the limited knowledge the game has given us thus far.
100 years ago. Oh, this is wait. It was 100 years in the future. Oh shit! I didn't realize there was so much time between.
Much is still unknown regarding the space elevator and what its use exactly was prior to the Rapture invasion. What we do know is the fact that it was man-made and existed prior to the current timeline that we're in.
Oh.
In the Lost Relic describing the first contact with the Raptures, it is stated that they descended from the elevator and began wreaking havoc on humanity. The elevator is seen in Nikke's PV about the world, where it's seemingly stationed outside of Earth's atmosphere.
Wait, if they're talking about PVs, would that be in or out of game? Also, I just realized I have no idea what PV stands for. Huh.
Currently, in our timeline, we haven't heard anything about this space elevator, and Nikke's PV is the only time that we've ever seen it physically.
So it's not mentioned much.
What its
so
use
either
was
something
currently
future.
still remains a mystery.
How old is this video? Let's see, okay, it's only a year old. So some things will have progressed from here, and it might be out of date, but only by a year. When did Nikke come out? Like 2022? I don't actually remember now that I think about it.
Simply put, raptures are not aliens which descended from space randomly,
Promotional video? Oh,
but
that makes sense,
instead
Martin.
are failed man-made creations that turned on humanity instead. What started as a small trickle of raptures quickly multiplied into hundreds, even thousands, which began to infest the surface. As the report stated, traditional firearms were completely useless against them, and like a wildfire in a dry open field, the world's strongest militaries began to crumble under the sheer force of the raptures. High-caliber guns, tanks, jets, even sea vessels armed to the teeth were no match for the daunting durability and sheer number
That is
they
a big-ass
invaded in.
gun. Shit.
We know from the story that the first rapture invasion also gave birth to some of the most terrifying raptures to contest humanity's might. Monstrosities like Mother Whale and the Kraken were both.
Oh, you actually fight this thing. Again, I couldn't stand how the gameplay looked. Standing still, not my thing. I don't really like shooting gallery games. But that's actually pretty cool looking.
Heavily active during this period, decimating any lingering hope for humanity to turn the tide on the war on the surface.
I see why nukes for everyone
The
seems to be
military,
the right choice.
much like the human race, stood no chance, and it was only a matter of time before they were all decimated. Despite their best efforts, humanity's last line of defense was rapidly depleting, and it was clear that something had to be done in order to preserve what remained of the human race.
Maybe it's just that I was already thinking about the thumbnail reminding me of Punishing Gray Raven, but what are we about to get into here? Because if we're getting into some transhumanism, I was not expecting that. But again, it's probably me just overreaching. I really doubt that's the case. Because I don't think they went that direction. 70 years ago, the Ark and Goddess? What? I mean, Ark to get away makes sense, but...
In perfect Nikke fashion, not a lot is known about the experimental period in between the first Nikke prototypes and the creation of the Goddess Squad. However, the Overzone event acted as a catalyst to bridge the gap somewhat with our understanding of this period. At some point following the Rapture invasion, humanity discovered a way to finally combat their mechanical adversaries.
More mechanics?
With the male population heavily reduced due to decades of conflicts with the Raptures, researchers began to utilize what they had left to create what we would know as Nikkes in modern day. Being part human, part machine.
Oh, they are part human. I thought that was just like flesh-toned rubber on top. Again, I did not get far into the story. I was like, it's funny because they're a robot. Wait, I'm being told by Valerian it does actually have similarities to PGR. Why is Schneck... Why? Oh, God. Why are you laughing at Not As Dark? Oh, no.
On paper, it seemed like the perfect counter. A soldier that could not only withstand heavy damage, but also was not susceptible to hunger, fatigue, and most importantly, fear. Prototype Nikkes are vastly different from the Nikkes we see in modern day,
Or the prototypes,
and instead appeared as large metal suits of armor at first. As the years progressed, things began to slowly fall into place, as newer Nikke models began to resemble their human creators more and more. However, even this breakthrough wouldn't come without a few setbacks. Nikke still retained their human brain, and the sudden realization
so it's literally brains in a jar. Oh, I was thinking, it's a cyborg. No, they're going full-on Atom Smasher. You never go full-on Atom Smasher. Ironically, he would probably hate this because they still look human. That would piss him off more than anything else, but that's not at the point.
of their augmented bodies would often lead to a mental collapse. This was something far more dangerous than the raptures should a Nikke turn on the ones it was designed to protect.
Because they'd already be right behind the lines, and it's a lot easier to get killed by the guy you didn't realize was about to shoot you in the back. I'm realizing this game has not just PGR similarities, but similarities to Cyberpunk. Maybe a little more depressing, which was not what I was expecting to say, but yeah, cyberpsychosis. I've been on a massive Cyberpunk 2077 kick lately, so it's kind of in my head.
Prototype Nikkes had built-in weapons in their bodies, rocket-powered jets in their legs, and overall were anything but human. The eventual mental collapse, or mind switch, resulted in the researchers going back to the drawing board, drafting the final design of Nikkes. This was speculated to be one of the first introductions of a successful installation of Nymph, and the first wave of Nikkes utilized to actively fight to reclaim the surface. The pinnacle of Nikke technology, the goddess of victory. This group you're all too familiar with thanks to Overzone's story. However, more information on them lay hidden in lost relics and side events like White Memory. All the members of Goddess were also deemed as fairy tale models, and just like fairy tales, would eventually fade into obscurity as the years.
A wolf has to die at the bottom of the well? What the fuck? And Hurricane's going, you think RoboCop instead, because he's not a psycho like Atom Smasher and thus feels all of the pain. But Atom Smasher works too. Yeah, Atom Smasher would like the entire brain in a jar thing. He would probably hate the, oh god, why does it still look human?
Progressed. We see this firsthand when Rappy activates Red Hood mode against Modernia in Chapter 13, stating that Rappy is fairy tale model number 5, meaning that her squad mates are numbers 1 through 4. This could either be in order of power, or more likely in order of their creation. At first,
So I don't know nearly enough about it to understand just how far to push that, but I'm assuming that means she's actually really strong. We didn't realize that? I don't know that. This is going to be one of those games where it makes me want to play it to actually engage with the lore, but also still hate the gameplay, so I'll end up just not doing it again. And Valerian mentioned Nymph the system. I'll just put on the screen. This stops them from hurting humans, which ironically makes them susceptible to corruption. Probably because they really want to hurt someone who fucked up, huh? Yeah.
Goddess Squad was a rowdy bunch, and wanted nothing more than to bring hope to humanity in their darkest hour. They all held the same hope in their hearts, the fickle dream that they could be the ones to regain what was once stripped from humanity decades ago. They all wore smiles on their faces. However, that happiness, just like the surface, will be stripped away from them in the years to come.
So I'm assuming that means either they all go crazy and start murdering people, or they kind of die. And honestly, when the dying looks like the safer option.
The Goddess Squad.
Also, whoa. Is that Iron Mouse in the background? Kind of looks like it.
Will be stripped away from them in the years to come. The Goddess Squad consisted originally of Red Hood, Dorothy, Snow White, Rapunzel, and Lilywise, and were deemed as humanity.
Lilywise? I actually don't know the reference to that one. It's probably a fairy tale, I just don't know.
His greatest hope for reclaiming the surface. Contrary to popular belief, Scarlet would later join the Goddess Squad, being the lone survivor of an experimental Nikke group that was sent out on the surface years prior. Although she was present in Overzone, she is not a member of the fairy tale units, nor an original member of Goddess. Without any form of exaggeration, the Goddess Squad was hands down the strongest unit in Nikke that we've seen to date. Single-handedly repelling thousands of raptures, reclaiming areas on the surface for the first time.
So in other words, they got really strong and then everyone else is weaker. Why do they make people weaker then? I'm assuming everyone talking about how much worse the corruption is means that's probably why.
But most of all, the beacon which ignited the fire for future generations that followed in their footsteps. By the time we begin to follow Overzone's story, a few key events had already taken place, the biggest being the passing of their squad leader, Lilywise. Along with this was the absence of the legendary commander and Red Hood, leading to much speculation on their whereabouts and the circumstances which led them to disappear from the picture. During the creation of the goddess unit, we also learn of the legendary commander.
What?
The first commander to ever command a squad of Nikkes and a key figure in the overarching plot of the current story. According to Snow White, he was once a mercenary who rose to the call of action.
A mercenary going to a fight. Shocking. Also, I'm being hired steel is out. I keep forgetting about that. Might not have time for it unless it wins an award today, but we might be able to do it next week.
He was a gentle and kind man, yet could be stern and straightforward when needed. In many ways, he reflects the current commander we play as in the story. However, at some point, he is removed from the picture, either by force or by his own volition.
If they're doing a freaking crossover with Honkai here, that's so freaking Kevin, man. Granted, I just see white hair guy now. It's too bad they never did anything else with that character design. Ever. And anything to do with MiHoYo. I know that Nikke is not a MiHoYo game, but that face, that design, man. Oh, god damn it. Never did anything like this again. 65 years ago, the first surface reclamation. Oh, it was that long. Huh.
Much like the early days of Goddess, we know very little of the first surface reclamation period. All we really know is that the legendary commander, leading the Goddess unit, managed to capture key points on the surface, which greatly advanced humanity forward in the war to reclaim what was once theirs. Through the lost relics, we can see the might this unit truly held, and how effective they were in turning the tide against the war on the Raptures. Despite this, not all good things last forever, and eventually, the Goddess Unit 2 would face its most harrowing task
Why
yet.
is she smiling? That's not good. Operation Ark Garden? What? If there's one thing I've learned from anime, manga, my wife, when I've said something so incredibly stupid that she just smiles and then remembers later on that, oh yeah, he needs to survive it. Yeah, I'm assuming something bad's about to happen.
By this point in the timeline, as stated before, the Goddess Unit was heavily fractured. During this short period, the group had lost 3 key figures: Red Hood, Lilyweiss, and most of all, their commander. Though the Ark's construction had begun well before the creation of
What's
Goddess,
the Ark?
the most crucial moment had finally come. The point in which the Ark were to be sealed away from the surface completely,
Oh,
with the world's brightest and wealthiest individuals hiding underground. It was the task of the Goddess Unit to keep watch over the final entry point the Ark had.
so it's literally the rich people made a place for themselves and fucked everyone over. Wasn't expecting that in this game, but also I wasn't expecting nearly as much brain in a jar either, so why not?
With the death of Lilyweiss and the current status of their commander, it was Dorothy who led the remainder of the Goddess Unit on this mission. By this point, it's also safe to assume that the Goddess Unit was far past their prime. During Overzone, we learned that Snow White had already undergone a mind switch, eradicating her old personality and instead replacing it with the sole urge to defend and protect her allies.
Oh.
In addition to this,
So I guess a mind switch is just wiping the personality because you can't deal with it anymore? I know they mentioned it earlier, but I don't really think I understood what it was.
morale was extremely low with losing 2 of their squad mates and their commander. Analyzing the dialogue at the start of Overzone's event, it is safe to assume the death of Lilyweiss and the sudden disappearance of Red Hood and the commander.
This might just be me, but the smile she has every few words, like that, like the little smile every few words makes me feel that. Maybe it's because we saw that earlier. Murder is fun. Smile, but I'm getting nope vibes from this girl.
And the commander happened in quick succession. The members of Goddess would spend the next 2 months defending the entrance to the Ark, losing nearly everything in the process. However, when the dust finally settled and the task was complete, the members of Goddess were left to fend for themselves.
Called it!
The Ark had already had a sense of hierarchy, only allowing the upper echelon of society to enter.
Yeah. So surprising, this part.
Their only intention was their own survival. Unfortunately, that plan didn't involve Goddess once they had fulfilled their final
Also, is that a freaking Gundam in the background? Pretty sure that's Wing Gundam down here. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it. Like, they just randomly have it in the background. Neat.
mission. The one who informed the remainder of Goddess of the Ark's betrayal, Oswald, also stated that strides would be made in order to surpass the Goddess of Victory in the years to come, actively making them obsolete. Ironically enough, nothing close has ever been replicated in the Ark since. The Goddess unit to this day remains the strongest group of Nikke to ever be produced by human hands. The closest the Ark has ever come to replicating such strength in modern day are Absolute and Matisse, and even then, they would be no match for the members of Goddess. Shut off from the Ark and forced to roam the surface, the Goddess unit, or what remained of it, decided to split off and aim to achieve their own goals.
Huh. So in other words, it's kind of like a lot of the factions in PGR where if you start killing the people, chances are they're going to deserve it. Yeah, I know just enough about PGR to realize you're working for assholes, and they're not even the biggest ones in the setting.
In doing so, this gave birth to both Pioneer and eventually Eden. Periodically, they'd agreed to meet and make sure everyone was alive. However, in the years that followed, it would only be Snow White, Scarlet, and Rapunzel who'd meet again.
Eden or Pioneer are.
Dorothy would take her own path, seeking her revenge against the Ark.
Freaking Yep, yeah, there it is again. There's that smile.
Lies.
I mean, granted, what we've seen so far, destroying it might be the best option.
All lies. Liars! Every last one of you!
Damn.
I'm so sorry, everyone. I don't think I can do this. I will get it back. This place only exists because of us. It belongs to us.
What the fuck is she about to do?
I will take back what is rightfully ours. No matter what it takes.
Dorothy, however, isn't the only one who seeks for the Ark's destruction. Even in a state of suppression, Red Hood also has the same urge to destroy the Ark.
Wait, didn't they say that like one of the main characters you had was using Red Hood or something? I don't know nearly enough about the game to know. And according to Shek, the surface is not ready for the return of the Ark populace. Really not. The Ark is literally the last place humans live originally. Yeah, but also with the last place because it sounds like they was like, we're going to cherry pick the ones we want to survive and the rest can all die. And according to Shek, this is outdated information. Oh, okay. Only by a year, though. How much changed in the last year? Probably a lot.
As your fairy tale title card says, a wolf has to die at the bottom of the well. Two things are important to note here. The first being that, according to official records, the members of Goddess are all missing in action. Instead of simply classifying them as dead, the central government instead martyrs them as the ones who sacrificed everything to allow humanity to remain underground.
I mean, technically they weren't wrong. They were sacrificing everything. They just didn't realize they were being the sacrifice when they did it, it looks like. Yeah.
It is also important to note that during this time...
Also, I'm being told a whole lot has changed in the past year. Oh, neat. I might have to check out more. Shit, am I going to actually need to play this game again? Maybe I'll look up efficient strategies just to get through the stupid fighting to find out more about the lore. Again, my biggest problem with the game isn't the lore. Apparently, I kind of like this. It's actually interesting. But I couldn't stand the arcade shooting gallery style of gameplay.
We get the first mention of Vapaus and Special Blood in this timeline as well.
Oh?
Even at this point in the
Wait,
story,
they have blood?
heretics were present fighting against the members of Goddess, and through sheer chance, their commander found that his blood had an effect on them,
What?
which led to the creation of Vaphaus,
What?
a bullet created by human blood, meant to take down the strongest of the Raptures, the
What?
heretics. To get a full breakdown on Overzone's story in its entirety, I recommend you pause this video
Ah, yeah, that would do it.
here and take the time to watch both part 1 and part 2 of my Overzone analysis. I felt it redundant to reiterate what was already said in past videos, so I'll link both down below instead.
Also, I'm being told by Yasha there's an easy mode in the works. Huh. I can also just watch the lore videos. Maybe, but I almost want to get directly into it. I'll probably not want to because... Also, Yasha, my problem isn't that it's hard. It's that I didn't enjoy playing it at all. So an easy mode would just make it easier to drop through it. So that's... I'll appreciate that just so I can rush through it to see what happens. 65 years ago. The new heretic queen. I'm assuming Dorothy?
As seen in White Memory, sometime after Goddess splits off on their own path,
Huh.
Snow White visits Lilyweise's grave for the final time, discovering that it had been desecrated by raptures. Not only had her dear friend's grave been defiled, but her head had also been taken.
Where the brain was.
The sheer horror of this sight causes Snow White to undergo her final mind switch, which was caused by a severe mental collapse and trauma. Due to this mind switch, it is unknown if any of the members of Goddess recall where Lilyweise's grave is, or the current condition of their former leader.
Oh.
It's gone. Why? How can this be happening? Her face is gone. Only her body is left. No one will remember her this way. I haven't achieved anything yet. I haven't accomplished anything she expected of me. Will her story really end so meaninglessly? No way. I refuse to accept this. This can't happen to her. Not to Lilywise.
Still have no idea what fairy tale that name is based on. Does bother me, but is this the actual in-game audio? Because if this isn't just him, specifically, I'll pull up the name, Pyrrhixz, one, sorry for butchering it, and two, but if they're finding this audio and getting people to record this, good for them. But if this is in-game, that's actually really good. This is emotional.
Raptures. I will exterminate them all. I will find her head. I have to fulfill her legacy, what she wished for. I hope we can.
Also, I'm being told that it's based on Lilith, Adam's original wife from the Bible. The one before Eve. Oh, really? Maybe. I guess that makes sense for someone who watched more. Just, it doesn't, at least the name doesn't seem nearly as on the nose as the other ones.
I have to save her legacy. I have to save the humans. I hope we can save. I have to save her legacy. I have to save the humans. I hope we can save the humans. I will exterminate all the raptures on the surface and recover the human world.
This also sparks a theory that the new Rapture Queen is Lilywise herself. The Raptures had taken her brain, the brain of the first and arguably strongest Nikke, and as stated by Nihilister, Lilith, or Lilywise, is the Queen's predecessor, and the only thing she failed to deal with during her time on the surface. Until the Queen is revealed, we are left to wonder if the members of Goddess will have to face their old leader in an act of a final confrontation.
Would it even be her, though? Because if it's just the brain, how is that thing still alive? Because if it was still alive, that means they buried someone who wasn't dead, which is in its own right many types of fucked up. What else went on behind the scenes? 60 years ago, the rise of A New Hope. Someone just watched Star Wars before this.
Following the deemed success of the Ark's completion and the first reclamation period, the Ark began using the late members of Goddess and the legendary commander in military propaganda, which painted the group as saviors of humanity. Due to this celebrity status, many flocked to become commanders and Nikke alike in the years that came.
Oh, you can flock to become Nikke. So people were literally like, that's fine, take my brain.
Countless ads acting as lost relics can be found in the main campaign, painting a picture of the time in which this period occurred. This also established the creation
Wait, what was that art?
painting a picture.
Oh, yeah. An X where the head is. Considering how Nikkes are apparently made. Oh, that's a bit on the neck.
The time in which this period occurred.
Oh.
This also established the creation of the military academy, and shortly after, gave rise to a new and up-and-coming star. A new commander, one nicknamed New Hope, would be one of many individuals who would rise to the occasion.
This is 60-some years ago. That probably means the guy we're playing as is not this guy, and this one's probably evil, huh?
Graduating at the top of his class, he quickly rose through the ranks, eventually reaching celebrity status amidst the Ark. Leading the charge of the Second Surface Reclamation, he assisted in devising many modern-day tactics and strategies that are still utilized by the military academy today.
But
One of these being guerrilla warfare tactics on the battlefield. His name, New Hope, also comes from the sheer amount of successful missions he pulled.
wait, he just used guerrilla tactics? I guess asymmetrical warfare, considering the size of some of the enemies I've seen in game just from the beginning, does make sense.
Off with his Nikke, which, at the time, was very reminiscent of the days of Goddess. Keep in mind, many people still remember Goddess at this point in the story. Although their story was altered by the central government, they still fulfilled their duty, incurring a wave of hopeful individuals eager to follow in their footsteps. Though New Hope had a string of fortune in his missions, just like the legendary commander before him, he too would soon succumb to a tragic downfall.
Oh, a fall from grace?
During an unspecified mission, raptors were led into the Ark, causing a massacre to both Nikkes and commanders alike. Reading through the news report found in the Lost Relics, it's hauntingly similar to the plan Crow enacted in Chapter 23, bringing total chaos to the Ark, and the blame falling on the one they deemed as the people's hope. Subsequently,
I don't know what happened in 23 or Crow, but I'm assuming it was something along the lines of, fuck all y'all. I mean, so far, I'm not exactly saying that's the wrong choice, but it does sound like they're kind of, fucked.
New Hope was charged with treason and imprisoned within the confines of the Ark's Rehabilitation Center. Despite being heavily injured in the conflict, he was convicted of turning his back on those he swore to protect.
Ah, so it's very much the style of government of scapegoating. Which makes sense considering they literally just abandoned everyone who they didn't want in the first place. You know, if they're trying to make me not hate the Ark, they're doing a really bad job about it.
According to the Ark's official records, he was shot and killed during an escape attempt, thus ending the legacy he left behind.
Probably alive then.
However, as we've come to know during our time in this world, the Ark's recollection of events are heavily poisoned by the central government. New Hope, following his escape, would eventually find his way to a safe haven on the surface, a place known to us as Eden, where we later come to know him as Johan.
Oh shit, you actually get to meet the guy. Huh. Was not expecting that. Bleh, years ago, the creation of Eden. Okay.
A lot of information on Eden's creation still remains a mystery as well. In perfect Nikke fashion,
Garden of Eden, which means some shit's about to go down here, huh? And why are people going to be cast out of it?
we only know the absolute bare minimum of a sole surviving safe haven on the surface. What we do know is Dorothy established Eden after her split from Goddess, and somewhere down the line met with Cecil, who, by her own hand, designed and built the entirety of Eden itself.
God damn.
This puts Cecil in an odd gray area. We don't exactly know when she came to Eden, or if she fled with Johann during his escape. What we
I just realized that's not my mouse there. Like, I kept seeing it's like, oh, I need to move it off the screen. No, wait, it's his. It's just such a freaking bright flash on the helmet, man. Cap. Very German aesthetic, though. Maybe I'm just thinking that because of the star on the...
do know for certain is the fact that she was once a researcher for the Ark, and a brilliant one at that.
But
Not only did Cecil design the entirety of Eden by her own hand, but she also developed groundbreaking technology to cloak Eden's location from the watchful eye of the Raptures.
oh, that's cool. Which means that they are susceptible to stealth. I'm assuming, considering she's alive and has a unique character design, probably got converted into a Nikke.
This invention, mind you, has allowed
assuming
Eden
at
to
this point.
remain on the surface for decades that followed.
Oh, wow.
It is also the reason why so few know of its existence in the current timeline as well.
Probably for the best. 30 years ago.
I'm sure
Goddess
this
fall?
story is one that very few of you watching even know about. Sometime
I
after
don't know, nothing,
mankind was
so-
forced into the Ark, humans began slowly seeing Nikkes less as goddesses of victory and more as expendable tools. During this time, mass production of Nikkes had also occurred once the Big Three had settled on certain designs, resulting in the mass influx of Nikkes in the Ark. Despite Nikkes being made to look and act like people, most humans living in the Ark saw Nikkes as nothing more than weapons of war.
And considering this involves people signing up to become them, they're literally getting their heads chopped off, put into a robo body, and then not being treated like a person because that's efficient for the people running it. You know, I thought earlier that this reminded me a lot of Cyberpunk, and oh god, does it definitely seem that way right now, man.
Or, at best, mere tools for humanity. After the failure that followed the Second Reclamation Campaign, the military force and the central government began to stray further and further away from their initial goal. Remember when Oswald taunted the members of Goddess that strides had been made in order to surpass them already? Well, that couldn't have been further from the truth. Mass production meant more numbers, but less efficiency. And this period began the decades of failed attempts to reclaim even a square foot of the surface from the Raptures. Subsequently, Nikkes became the scapegoat for any misfortune that would befall the Ark. Sudden rise in taxes blamed the Nikkes for being expensive to make and maintain. Terrorist attack means the trains will be late, blame the Nikkes for not stopping them. Things that Nikkes had no control over whatsoever, yet the
Yeah, I'm just getting the entire impression that the entire arc needs to be destroyed. It's not even a small one. It's legitimately at this point, oh yeah, everyone's just a dumbass who believes this. And it's only the people they handpick, so they're all going to be listening to it because everyone else who didn't want to be listened to is not going to survive here because they're not here.
public would place the blame on their shoulders. At the end of the day, Nikkes still have human brains and retain human emotions. It's the primary reason why they have to engage in everyday mundane tasks. If they let their mind wander too far, they can succumb to a mind switch due to cognitive dissonance. The introduction of Nikke phobes didn't help their mental stability either, and as time moved on, unsurprisingly, some of them finally snapped. At some point, 200 mass production Nikkes who were finally fed up with humanity's treatment of them,
Or the fact that they're treated as mass production in the first place and not people. Granted, if there's one thing we've already known, the industrial complex for any military definitely is very good at treating people like people as well, so I'm sure nothing changed there.
banded together to abandon the Ark and seek a new civilization
That actually was a lot less murdery than I thought the next phrase was going to go.
on the surface. They planned on using the elevators to go upwards and leave the Ark,
But
and those humans who resented them so much behind. The central government, however,
did not like it.
saw it as a mass desertion, and in a form of retaliation,
Killed them.
cut the elevator's power while transporting the Nikkes to the surface. It was around 4 kilometers high when they did this. Plummeting from that height would not only cause damage to the Ark, but also would cause countless casualties of those who dwelled within it.
Further proving that the people in charge are definitely the bad guys. Oh, yeah, I'm getting a lot of the PGR vibe on this. And a lot of the cyberpunk. How is this fitting so much PGR and cyberpunk at the same time? Probably cyberpunk because you can actually see the people are just the people, and the people running it are the assholes, which is very much there because you're directly on the ground level. And PGR because you see just the kind of fuckery there. You don't really get to see, or at least I've never really seen anything on the more human level in PGR as opposed to cyberpunk. So I guess that's the difference.
Realizing this, the Nikke's self-destructed, destroying the elevator and ultimately ending their lives in the process. This saved countless lives, and eventually it would cause the event to be known as Goddess Fall. This would be the spark of a civil rights movement for Nikke rights. Although the elevator was eventually repaired, ironically enough, it never managed to function properly after the events of Goddess Fall.
The creation of Inherit?
Much like many events, there's no discernible timeline for this either.
Oh.
At some point in the past, between Johan and Cecil fleeing the Ark and meeting with Dorothy, the creation of a new group would emerge. Cecil, being a skilled and talented researcher, would augment Nikke's who sought refuge in Eden, with technology on par with the current members of Pioneer and Dorothy.
Who's Pioneer?
Although weaker counterparts, the members of Inherit still far surpass the strongest squads in the Ark today. It would also be around this time that Johan would rise to lead them as their commander. It was also during this period that Johan himself will receive augmentations to combat raptures as well.
Oh, so you could actually fight them without going full robo body. Ah. As I'm being told, at least Corono, the people who are definitely not evil in PGR, or at least somewhat smart. I know just enough to agree with somewhat smart, if only because I've seen their competition in who could be in charge. Yeah.
After the separation of the Goddess unit following Operation Ark Guardian, Dorothy
I wonder when you find out that the legendary commander's still alive, because if you die off screen, you're not actually dead.
failed to reconnect with her comrades.
Also, that's not just me saying it to make a stupid comment. It's because in a literary trope, if you don't see someone die and they're mentioned multiple times and said something about how they died and we don't know how, it's because the writers are leaving themselves the leeway to either, one, they're not dead and we just were wrong, or the way they died actually will matter, but it will matter in a way we're not entirely sure how yet. We want to give ourselves the leeway to fix that up later. Usually the first one, though, because living characters are more interesting. Yeah.
For 50 long years, she remained in Eden, festering her desire to seek vengeance on those who turned their backs on her all those years ago.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Even if they were all dead, she still sought to seek revenge on their descendants. One way or another, she would make them pay for their wrongdoings. Over the years, Dorothy had kept a watchful eye on the Ark, utilizing connections made with mass production Nikkes she'd saved on the surface. Due to her legendary status, being the beacon of hope and a member of the renowned Goddess Squad, no Nikkes hesitated to help her whatsoever. Even if it meant withholding her existence from the central government, the Nikkes Dorothy encountered wanted nothing more than to aid their idol.
And here comes the oh no part, huh?
Eventually, Snow White reconnects with Dorothy, stating that none of them had ever stopped looking for her, and eventually, the members of Pioneer settled in Eden for a short time.
I still don't know who Pioneer is. I'm assuming it's something obvious for someone who played the game, but as an idiot who never did that, I don't know who Pioneer is. I'm assuming people just living on the surface.
Despite this brief reunion, eventually, the members of Pioneer would abandon Eden and realize just how diluted and dangerous Dorothy had become. Only through advices with the members of Pioneer do we get a glimpse of this. Due to conflicting ideologies, the two groups could not intermingle with one another, and would only prove more harm than good if they remained under the same roof. Thus, Pioneer ventured out to continue to achieve their own separate goals.
I'm assuming Pioneer might be the good guys you just don't know about. Also, according to Baka, Pioneer is the rebrand of the Goddess Squad. Ah, that makes sense. Also, I know they're being set up as Dorothy's going evil because she wants to destroy Ark. And all I'm sitting here going is like, so she's the bad guy? Are we sure about that? Because right now, I have yet to see a single thing proving that anything in the Ark deserves to survive. It kind of looks like maybe you should run to the monsters for safety. They'll just kill you. Although apparently they ate one of their heads, and that's kind of freaky.
Drifting from place to place, while Dorothy remained in Eden, plotting her revenge on the Ark.
Still not saying she's wrong. She's going overboard, but at the same
And
time,
up until this point in the
'em.
story, that's all the major events that had occurred,
But
all condensed down for your viewing pleasure. Of course, we could have included minute details like the death of each Nikke known in the story, or the history of every Nikke which predates our time in the story today. But I thought this outlined the most important bits of information. This video also acts as a precursor to a full timeline that will be releasing near Nikke's 1-year anniversary.
oh,
So I hope you all be—
wait, 1 year? How old is this game? This came out a year ago. No. Oh, it came out September 11th. You put this out on... This guy put it out on September 11th, 2023. Wow. So it's almost 2 years old at this point. So a lot more has probably happened than that. Timing, though.
looking forward to that once it's out as well. Did you know the events of Nikke's past, or did this video act to inform you? Be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all in the next video. Jane.
So I had absolutely no idea about any of that, and all I can say is, damn. So instead of PGR, where it's like, there's a good bit of you that's still human, but it's also sometimes your brain, and we'll see what happens, and sometimes it's not your body at all, and we're just gonna fuck around with what's human and what's not. This is just brain in a jar, flat out. Okay, that's freaky. Especially the entire mass production, which means literally lack of humanity on that aspect, and kind of fucked up the more you think about it. That's a lot darker than I was expecting, man. I was not sure what to expect there. And that level of fuckery was not one of them. I might have to actually play Nikke. Also, I'm being told by Valerian, in PGR, their bodies are straight up full artificial. Are they entirely full artificial or mostly full? Because I'm pretty sure I saw one of them that still had a good bit of human parts in there. Only because I jumped ahead and saw one of the transition events, and it involved a lot of screaming and feeling things, and I think it might depend on the version, how old, and all that. So, but I don't want to talk Demonessa's story. I skipped a lot of it. I saw the parts that made me like, you know what, I should skip all of it. Yeah. Let's just, I'm not going to touch it. But at least the Nikkes are more understandable. Brain in a jar. Got it. Creepy. Very creepy. I kind of want to see where this goes, though, and I might, if there's an easy mode, drop into the game and just skip through the fighting aspect, which is admittedly the part that most people are probably there for, and I just cannot stand. Because the music's good and the storyline looks really engaging. I might just try and suffer through it and check it out. So if you guys haven't already, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up, and if you think it's a good idea to check out Nikke and see what the hell's going on, let me know. I'm not sure if I could play it on stream because it's a cultured game. But I'm honestly kind of interested to see what people think. Just let me know. And I'll see you guys then. Adios.